Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Feminine Leadership Activation call. I'm Tanya Lynn, and I'm really excited to share with you, oh goodness, the power of letting go of control. That's what we're talking about this week. Um, And so, as usual, we're just going to settle into our seats and into our space. So just take a moment to close your eyes and breathe. And the first part of letting go of control is letting go through the breath. We talk about the breath a lot on these calls in terms of being present, getting into our bodies. So just this moment here, notice any thoughts coming up, and here's the practice. Notice them coming up and let them go. Just keep letting them float right out of your head. Just watch as they pass, as if they're clouds in the sky. And with each exhale, feeling the weight in your body drop. Feeling yourself loosening, expanding, relaxing, letting go of tension. And as you do that, I'm going to draw a card right now, and compassion came up. Kuan Yin decided to bless us today, to grace us with her presence. She's come up for us before. Oh, releasing judgment. So release judgment about yourself and others and focus on the love and light that is within everyone. Oh, compassion. So thank you, Kuan Yin, for aiding us today and guiding us in this conversation about letting go of control. We call on you for compassion for ourselves, to learn how to find that light and love from within, to find that, and then to see the outer world as a reflection of the inner world, and to, from that place, have compassion for others, but most importantly, having compassion for ourselves. And so opening up your eyes, and oh goodness, so I'll just share what's been happening for me lately. And I wrote a blog post about this that you can find on my blog, tanyapeluso.com. And it was interesting because last night I got a message from one of my leaders saying, Tanya, I felt this. Like, I felt what you were sharing in your blog post, and I'm wondering, is it okay for me to reflect that to you next time that I feel that? And she said, you know, I felt the tightness, I felt the constriction, and I wanted to help and support, but I didn't know if it was my place. And I start with that because it's actually through the sisterhood. It's through that level of accountability and that support that I was able to fully let go of control on Monday, and what a difference it's made for me for the rest of my week. So I had a baby. It's been 14 weeks. I cannot believe it. It just blows my mind how fast time is going, and yet, you know, it's just, yeah, my whole life is different. But ever since that birth, I've been getting headaches. And I haven't been talking about the headaches because, quite frankly, I've been ignoring them. I have a very high tolerance for pain, and I can go a long time without really being bothered by bodily symptoms. And this was a problem for me in my past, of where things got really bad because I wasn't paying attention to my body. So I've been getting these headaches. They've been pretty debilitating at times where I had to go to bed, had to take a nap in the middle of the afternoon, just feeling like I just needed to rest. And I really got that. I needed to rest. And I knew that they were tension headaches. I believed that they were coming from the breastfeeding, the constant hunching over and looking down, and then starting yoga again, just all the down dogs and all that pressure in my shoulders. I felt that it was almost like where I felt like I was being compressed, and I felt like I was being coiled up. So a few weeks ago, I finally said, I've had enough, and I went to the chiropractor and got one of the biggest adjustments, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I've gone this long, over 2 months. It was actually at the 3-month mark. I can't believe I've gone 3 months without getting an adjustment. And what is that? What is that all about, that I have gone this long tolerating pain and not feeling good consistently in my body? And so it was almost like I was feeling good, feeling like I was getting my strength back from yoga. My whole pelvic floor is better. So it was almost like, well, those places feel better, but this place doesn't, right? But it was almost like well, it's okay if it's not 100% feeling amazing. At least I got these things that are better. And so this alone has been a shift of like, wow, where do we settle? How often are we saying, oh, well, that's good enough, even though it's not excellent, it's not extraordinary, it's not amazing, it's really subpar, but we're settling for that. And if I checked in with where that was coming from, I was having this resistance towards going out there and spending money on the chiropractic. And I look at that and I'm like, wow, where else do I let money stop me? Where else do you let money stop you? Right? And what are we really truly valuing? What's the perceived value of the chiropractic care? And I realized in that moment it has nothing to do with how much the chiropractor is. Because I was willing to spend that as prenatal care. I went every single week. No problem putting down the money for that, right? Because I prioritized that, and it was the one thing that I was really committed to during my prenatal care. And so if I looked at it, it was almost this underlying, do I really deserve to spend that money on myself, on my health and my well-being, when I've got other things that are taking priority or precedent when it comes to spending my money? And the last 2 weeks, I've been having so many conversations about the Master Your Circle Leadership, which is my facilitator training program that's starting next week. And I'm noticing how many times money has been coming up as the determining factor in where women are getting blocked and stopped. And I'm seeing this very clearly now, that part of it is control, right? Where we're not letting go of control and trusting that the universe is going to provide, that our needs will be met, and that when we do spend money, it will come back, and that really money is truly an energy. And I know this to be true because every time I've up-leveled in terms of, my new house, my rent went up, and I still manage to come up with that money every month. Wherever I am, I'm always able to rise to the occasion. And it's the same thing with an investment. Whether it's the chiropractor or the Master Your Circle Leadership Program or something else, we always come up with the money in the end. It always appears. Always. And if it doesn't right away, what's the big deal? What is debt really? And I've been really looking at that of, can we actually come from a place of gratitude? And I heard this, I believe, from Ali Shanti. Can we come from a place of gratitude of thank you, government, or city cards, or whatever bank, for lending me this money so I can go do what I want to do? There's this piece that feels like, well, we're a slave, right? If I get into debt, then I become a slave because now I'm paying interest, right? So it can be very easy to be irresponsible, and so it's like, well, I'm not going to do that again. But if it came down to your health and your well-being and money, like you're going to spend the money if you're absolutely in desperate need of an emergency, right? But why does it have to get to an emergency? Why does it have to get so bad that that's when we say, oh, it's okay? Can we value our worth and believe that we deserve that care before? So this is what was all going through my head, and really looking at where I was creating my own limitation, my own block from living this extraordinary life, from feeling amazing. Because if I'm feeling amazing, then I can give more to my daughter. I can work more, right? Like I have more capacity. These headaches were taking away my capacity to live fully. And yet I was settling that that was okay, that was enough. So it really comes down to, what am I committed to? Am I committed to living an extraordinary life? Or am I just okay settling for ordinary? And am I willing to go through the fire? Am I willing to take the risks to live that extraordinary life? And what I've found is that the more risks I take, the greater the reward, but also the more skilled I become, and the easier it becomes, and the more it comes towards me. But it's that getting started. It's overcoming that mind block. It's overcoming all those obstacles that we create, because really, truly, we are the creators of our world. We are the creators of our circumstances and our opportunities, because the world, the outer world, is simply a mirror of our inner world. And so if I'm conflict-free inside, I'll see less conflict outside of me. I'll see less of those obstacles or those circumstances come up. And I look at this of like how I hear people who can't show up on a call with me say, oh, well, my kids this and that, my baby this and that, like I couldn't. And I'm like, well, wait a second. I have a 14-week-old. How am I able to not only show up on the call, but be there on time, if not early? What am I doing differently? Because I don't live by that circumstance. That circumstance is not actually even in my space. I have the support and I have the help, and I've set up my whole life. I've created my life by design so that I can show up on that call on time. And that's what it comes down to, is setting ourselves up for success. I have set myself up for success, to show up on time, to do what I want to do, to live how I want to live where I want to live. I've set all that up. I've created that. And that has extraordinary power in it. I feel empowered by that. And I've gotten that I am responsible for how my life goes. I'm responsible for what circumstances show up. So now I have the power to change them, or to make them disappear altogether. And really that came from this piece of letting go of control and trusting the universe, trusting that all my needs are provided, that I have that connection with spirit and with the universe and with God, or whatever you want to call it, him, her, I am in complete faith and trust that all is well and all will work out because all is well. So that was this long-winded story to get us to this past weekend when I was so triggered and I literally felt like I was coiled up and I was compressed into this little ball, this knot, and I was about to explode. And I was picking on Brent all Sunday, and he's like, this is the worst Father's Day ever, my first Father's Day, and you're ruining it. And I'm being totally dramatic, but you know, we did have that conversation because I was just a pain in his butt. I was being terrible to him. And I was like, what am I doing? I kept bursting into tears because I'm like, who is this crazy person who has shown up? What is going on? And what I realized is that I was so wound up because I hadn't been taking care of myself. I didn't go to the chiropractor. I was ignoring my body signs. And I was not setting boundaries, and I was working my butt off, and there was all this pressure and stress, and I was not creating any place for me to release it. And so I first had to check in. And so I got out my nifty little Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life book, and I turned to the page around the neck, and I said, neck problems. Well, neck represents flexibility, the ability to see what's back there. Neck problems, refusing to see other sides of a question, stubbornness and inflexibility. And so the new thought pattern is, I am peaceful with life. It is with flexibility and ease that I see all sides of an issue. There are endless ways of doing things and seeing things. I am safe. And I thought, wow, okay, where am I being inflexible? Where am I being stubborn? And what am I not willing to look at? Well, I'm not willing to actually just address my neck problem, right? And so I was ignoring the signs, and I wasn't processing, and I wasn't being vulnerable and doing what I normally do, which is process through and share and move through something. I was holding on to something, and I was like, what is this? And I realized I was really trying to maintain control because I'm in the middle of a launch of my new program. And I was like, I don't have the luxury right now to let go of it. And what's going to happen? So I had forgotten that trust and that faith. I was gripping so tightly. And this also had to do with the fact that Brent came on board with what I was doing. So he was all in with me. And I felt this enormous pressure of, I have to provide for the family through this launch. Oh, shit. Not only that, but now I have a team of 6 facilitators who are leading their circles, coming to me with new ideas and telling me that they did something new at the circle that wasn't quite in the structure, and I'm having this total control issue of like, oh my God, this whole thing's gonna fall apart. And I've got to reel it back in, and I've got to micromanage, right? And I was like, wait a second, Tanya, that is your old pattern, and that didn't work. So what's going on here? And what do you need to let go of? And it was so clear that I needed to let go of control. And I got clear that if Sistership Circle is going to become the worldwide vision that I have of circles all over the world, I have to get out of the way. I cannot control. I cannot micromanage. And if I look at the structure that I created in the first place, it was all about co-creation. It was all about creativity and being able to bring your personality and bring your ideas and step into your leadership and not always ask for permission, to trust your intuition, to trust that we already know the answers. And so that's exactly what the women were doing. And here I am afraid that the whole thing's going to fall apart versus really getting that it needs to almost break and crack open so that it can expand even wider. It can expand and go far beyond my limitations. I need to let it go. And that's the only way, truly, it will be able to reach the vision that I have of thousands of facilitators around the world. I cannot manage all of that by myself. I must get out of the way. And I must build a team and learn how to trust that team to help support the growth and expansion. So this was huge. And I processed this information and I felt so much better knowing that and understanding what was really going on. So that was Sunday. So I processed through all of that on Monday. Monday night, I show up at my circle. And two of the ladies are co-leading, because in Sistership Circle, we have co-creative leadership, so everyone rotates and gets the lead one of the sessions once a month. And their intention was that everyone got exactly what they needed, and everyone's cup got filled. And they brought us into a meditation, and all I can feel was my seething, raging anger. And so we open our eyes, and they're like, who'd like to start? And I'm like, I need to start, because I am not going to be able to be present today. I am so present to my anger. And I said, I'm pissed. I'm feeling this anger. What I need is I need to scream. I need to cry. And I need to be held. And I was like, wow, okay, here we go. Here we go. So they said, okay, can we put you on the massage table and witness you, support you, so that you can do exactly that, so you can scream and cry. And I thought, oh my God, this is the circle that I'm leading, and I'm going to be that vulnerable? I'm going to let them see me scream and cry? Okay, let's do this. So they put me on the table, and they're holding my hands and holding my feet, and someone started with like a shaker and then started to open their voice up a little bit, and then the whole group was just making very low sound, and I just let it rip. I just screamed, and it felt like this blood-curdling scream that just, it felt like it was so visceral and so animalistic, and just it came from deep within me, and I just let it carry. I just let it go. And I was crying, and I felt so much sadness, and I felt so much grief from my birth. I was like, wow, and this, almost like this letting go of my old self, because that was what had been emerging over the weekend, and that was the control. So I was letting go of the controller and the manipulator in that moment. And I was feeling how it felt when I let go of control to get myself through my labor and push my baby out. And all of that felt tied, and so I just let it rip. And I just screamed on the top of my lungs, and I didn't care. I let go of what they thought of me. I let go of any neighbors hearing me. I just screamed and cried. And then I allowed them to hold my hand and, brush my hair and hold my feet and my legs and just be there for me and witness me in my vulnerability. And I realized that processing of being in my head was not enough, because that was a great aha of like, oh, that's my pattern. but the patterns are stuck in the body. That tension headache was this pattern stuck in my neck. And I was being inflexible, I was not letting go, and I needed to actually move that energy by moving the emotions. Emotions are energy in motion. I needed to release the emotion that was in the body that was stuck and trapped as those old thought patterns, as that old way of being, and let that go. And this is the piece that's hardest, because we are absolutely terrified of our emotions, of feeling that, of feeling like we're going to have a nervous breakdown, that we're going to recreate and re-experience that old trauma, and that it's so overwhelming. That feeling of that anger and that sadness and the crying and the screaming feels so out of control. And it feels like we're going to lose it, right? And that's when we go over the edge. And it's that going over the edge that it all gets cleared out. The nervous system can get rattled, right? And so it was really important for me to have those hands on me, have that touch, feel that groundedness from the other women holding my feet, holding my hands, and to keep me in my body and to receive some sound healing, and then to laugh. And so after I was crying, I took these deep breaths, and then I just started laughing hysterically. And it was like this joy bubbling out of me. And I allowed myself to swing all the way from one side of the spectrum of the sadness and the anger and the grief, all the way to the other, to actually re-experience my joy, to tap back into my joy. And it was like, oh, thank goodness, I have arrived back in myself, in my body. Here I am, I'm home again. There I am. There I am. And it feels freaking good to let that go. Get off the table. My neck no longer hurts. It was literally like all that tension was coiled up, and I was able to let the spring loose, and it just all opened like one of those slinkies. And I felt that leave the body. And I was on a high, literally on a high. I went home and I was bouncing off the walls, and I'm so ecstatic, and I was able to be present for the rest of the circle, and it just felt so good, and that just trickled into the rest of my week. I had some incredible conversations and had my energy back and felt more connected with my baby and just felt like amazing. And wasn't that the point? To feel amazing. So now I was able to get back to who I am and be in possibility again, letting go of all of that control, letting go of my control issues, and see what now can open up, what space is now available for expansion. Because here's the thing, for me to bring a team on board, for me to expand Sistership Circle out there in the world, I have to create space and expand from within first. Again, outer world is a reflection of the inner world. So I have to find that space in between, within my own cells, within my own body. I need to feel fluid and loose and relaxed and peaceful to create that around me, to now create that flow. So the women have the freedom to go out there and be their best selves, for more women to come on board and be part of our team. I have to create that space within. And what I also saw here is how much I was filling my space with doing more, and That is the old way of being. That's the old paradigm. That was my old pattern. Do from a place of manipulation and control. Letting go of that, and I can just be. Now I'm still taking action, but it's coming from this empowered source. It's coming from this expanded state. It feels good. I feel good. I have that space. When we look at the breath, there's those spaces in between. The silence, the stillness. Those little spaces in between, the nothingness, is actually the beingness. And it's the everything. That's the infinite, the possibility. Can I get into those spaces? Can I create more empty space? We can't create a beautiful painting on top of an old painting. We need a blank canvas for new possibilities to come into play. For me to expand Sistership Circle into this vision that I have to create space for it. I have to empty out. I have to have the blank canvas to draw on. And I need to create that blank canvas for the other women to draw on as well. And I need to create space on that canvas of saying, here, you've got this portion of the canvas, and I've got this portion, and we'll together draw this beautiful painting. That's co-creative leadership. And that's how this will get so much bigger than myself. Letting go of myself as the bottleneck, letting go of control and being that bottleneck for the growth of the vision and the organization that we're building. And it was interesting because one of my facilitators said to me, Tanya, how can we as facilitators best support you during a launch? And I was like, wow, I was totally doing this alone. Interesting. Why am I not asking for support in this area? And really, I've been practicing this muscle of asking for support with my baby. Had that covered, right? I could be on these calls and everything. But was I asking for the support and allowing contribution from my team of facilitators to support me with the launch as we're bringing on, more women into the next training program? I was really operating from this, I have to do it all myself. I'm the founder. I'm the one doing the training. I got in this mode of it's all me. And that's where I felt the pressure. That's where I felt the stress of all the weight and all the burden is on me. Now I've got to provide for my family. The pressure's on me. So that piece, and that's the big block. Number one comes down to trust. Can I trust myself? Can I trust others? And most importantly, can I trust the universe and spirit and allow myself to be guided? I was getting guidance, these little voices I was hearing, and I was ignoring them. And I got back into do mode. Tanya's got to do it. And really, it comes from my proficiency, my competency. I know how to do it. Is that really the way forward? No. So now how can I open myself up and trust others to receive the support? That I don't have to do it all on my own. Don't. You don't. So where in your life are you stuck trying to be in control of everything, doing it on your own? Because you don't trust that others will be able to show up. They're not going to be reliable. They're not going to be able to do as good of a job as you can. They're going to let you down. All of those. Are those really the truth? You might have evidence that that's the truth because it's happened in your past. Can you empty out that belief and all the evidence that supports that belief? Can you let that go and empty it out so that you can create a new possibility from a blank canvas? So where is that stored in your body? And can you release it from a bodily level? Can you get in touch with the feeling? Feel the feeling completely, unconditionally. And unconditionally is the key word here. I feel my feelings unconditionally. Just like I love myself unconditionally. I feel my feelings unconditionally, which means I feel them no matter what. No matter how they feel, no matter which emotion they are. I'm not choosing happy versus sad, that they're created equal. So I can feel my sadness or my happiness unconditionally. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to feel it without judgment. Easier said than done. And it takes practice. And it takes creating a safe space for yourself first. So maybe you need to go in your own room and cry, or go in your car. That's what I used to do, is I would go in my car and I would scream. I'd put the music on, no one can hear me, and I would scream. It has taken so many of those times of creating that safe space for myself to then find the courage to do it being witnessed by the circle that I'm the leader of. That didn't just happen overnight. It has been years, a couple years of learning how to create that safe space for myself to feel my feelings unconditionally on my own, in my own room, before allowing others to witness me. But the power of that sisterhood, the power of having others witness you, to do that, you can create safe space. And this is how you do it. Because you might want someone to witness you and to hold your hand while you're doing it, and to perhaps scream with you. Sometimes that's actually easier. So it's about setting the expectations, creating a ritual and a container of opening up that container, setting an intention, perhaps using some sage or a candle or something to make it a ritual, to have that person, to look that person in the eye and ask for their support, and to create that space with them of like, this is what I need. This is what it looks like for you to hold space for me. And then to let go and trust that person, but being very clear on your expectations and what exactly you need them to do, right? And to allow that person to ask questions. Because what happened is, in the circle on Monday night, I put my head down. I was experiencing some shame. And then they asked me questions. Okay, do you want us to put you on the massage table? Yes. Do you want us to hold you and put our hands on you? Yes. Okay, are you ready? Yes. Okay, do you want us to start making some noise? Yes, right? So it was like they helped guide me through. It was almost like they were holding my hand as I went into the darkness, as I went into the tunnel. Very, very powerful. But it's this piece of feeling unconditionally. That's how we let go. And what is the thing that we're wanting to let go of? What is that limited belief? Because that's what it comes down to. There's a subconscious pattern that's been created of something that you were taught between 0 to 7 years old. And that is what's now reemerging, and you can find that through the body, through the emotion, getting back in touch with that little girl or boy, if you're a guy, getting in touch with that little child, that inner child. What was he or she experiencing? So when you heard that, when you heard your mom say to you, you can't trust, Don't trust other people. People are bad guys. You're not safe in this world. All of those things. Were you experiencing fear? And then what were you experiencing? And getting in touch with the body of where is that located in the body, and then releasing it. So, it's amazing what has happened since I did that on Monday night. Calling in some incredible women into the program, feeling very connected with friends who just couldn't keep his hands off me, which I found funny. I'm also, I didn't mention this part, I'm in the middle of planning my wedding, which was also all this pressure of, there's so much pressure around planning a wedding. I'm just blown away, and I just keep having to choose what feels light. And then I was, trying to plan my bachelorette party and all. I was like, there was so much that was happening all at once, and it felt like it was pouring rain. Sometimes when it rains, it pours. Yeah, that's how I felt. It was like, we got the launch, I've got baby, I've got wedding, I've got bachelorette party, I've got all these things on my plate. And I was just experiencing so much stress and overwhelm from all that, and it's like, okay, let it all go. And now, truly, I can let go of what are the things that aren't actually feeling in alignment. The first thing that came up for me is I wanted to do my bachelorette party in Harbin Hot Springs, my favorite place on earth. And I've had this dream of doing my bachelorette party there for years. And I was like, no, you know what? It doesn't feel good for me to leave my baby for 3 days. I'm not ready. And it was almost like I was doing it out of obligation to this old dream and this old idea that I had. And when I let that go, so I was like, well, I still want a spa. And someone said, well, just go to La Casa. It's like right down the street from you. You could just go for the day. Whew, relief, right? It's like, oh, I can still have what I want. I can still have my spa day. I can still have my, I don't have to go out to the bars like a regular, typical bachelorette party. I can do what I really want to do. And I knew in my heart that if I left for 3 days, I would not be able to fully enjoy myself and be present, because I would be worried about Callie the whole time. I would feel that disconnect from not being with my baby. 5 months old. It's not time. It's too soon. So by doing this work and releasing, I was able to really get in touch with myself again. I came home to myself, and then I could see what is out of alignment. And that was the only thing, really. Everything else, that I had resistance to other things that I was creating, but space got opened up for those things. So I was able to find actually a new way of being in relationship to those things that I was committed to. But that one was just, I was so clear I was a no. And so I was able to claim that no, and it felt really, really good. So that's what I got today. I feel this whole new, I just feel this whole new energy since I let go of all that. And I'm going to the chiropractor this afternoon. So even though I felt the release in my neck, I got really committed. I recommitted to my body's well-being and booked that appointment. And that was one of the biggest takeaways here, is really committing to excellence, to being amazing and living my extraordinary life. And so how can I prevent, how do I maintain my body? And you know what else? I got really, really clear on what I want to be eating as well. So it was like this whole body readjustment and this whole lifestyle adjustment that came with that release of the emotion, where I could now look at all my other actions, what am I eating, how am I sleeping, and all these things, and choose to just take care of myself. because I was so tightly wound up and coiled that it was going into all the other areas, and I can really truly start to relax and get back to taking care of my body and get back to that self-care, because I really got that I'm worth it. I deserve it. I deserve to feel amazing. You deserve to feel amazing. So it's really about claiming that, letting go, and then being able to claim that and be in the possibility. So thank you for another Feminine Leadership Activation call today. And if you want to find any of the recordings, you can find those at sistershipcircle.com/activation-calls. And then we'll see you next Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thank you.